1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast, is proudly sponsored by The Terrace, the home of retro and fan culture sports merchandising. Check out their range of Forest merch by visiting theterracestore.com or visit them on social media.
The 1865 Match Report.
Right, so this is the day after what could have been, as Forest missed the chance to go into the playoff places and start the new year in a completely different situation to where we were this time last year. We lost 1-0 to Huddersfield Town at the City Grounds, as Carlos Corberan basically outdid us despite us getting all the chances, all the shots, and them maybe having 2 shots on target, but winning the game. So we lined up in a COVID-ravaged 4-2-3-1. Worrell and McKenna in the back, Garner and Ojeda in the middle, and a start for Zande Silva on the left, with Brennan Johnson on the right. And at fullback, Colback deputising once more. So I'm joined here by Tom Newton, who can tell us what he thought of the game, apart from what more could we have done to get there. So, I mean, the first thing to note is the game started with them hitting the crossbar pretty much in the first minute.
Yeah, they come out really quickly, and then they hit the bar, and you think, oh, it's even though I think they were in 6th place at the start of the game last night, you knew it was going to be a tough game, but they come out because some teams, when they come to the City Ground, they stand off a bit, see what Forest are going to come up with. But no, they were the ones out of the blocks quickly, hit the bar, and you just knew we was going to be in for a bit of a battle last night.
One of the things that we talked about just before recording this is the way that Huddersfield play. So, I mean, they weren't particularly pretty on the eye, but I guess it was probably a really, really good match for the neutral. What they were doing, they were quite big, they were quite physical, and they were coming right up in our faces all the way through the game, weren't they? Yeah,
I noticed in the first, especially the first 20 minutes of the first half, they had a high press, and there was one situation where it was in the second half, but how the game went is Lewis Grabban was offside, and then they took the free kick in our half, and everybody said, well, how can that be? Because Grabban come from an offside position and brought the ball into our half, and that just showed you their high press, and they did it all game. And I thought they were quite impressive, really, and they had a bit of physicality in there. And Corberan's got a decent side there, and that obviously replicated of where they are in the league at the moment.
Absolutely. So one of the things I thought in the first half, especially, was it did remind me a bit of when we were playing under Chris Hughton, just in that because they were pressing us so high, we couldn't get any. Ojeda and Garner barely got to see the ball, which meant that we couldn't do anything with it when we had the ball. However, there was one little bright spark, I thought, which was the first start for Zande Silva. And apart from the bloke who was sat about 2 rows behind me, who obviously was completely in love with him, kept on yelling, "Give the ball to Silva," and attack Silva. I thought he did all right.
Yeah, well, the last time we saw him before the Middlesbrough game was one shot which went in. Did it go into the upper Trent or go out for a throw? And you think, oh, what's this guy? Then he come on against Middlesbrough and he looked quite lively. And he got his start last night, and again he looked lively. I mean, on another night he could have scored if it wasn't for a decent save from their goalkeeper. So he's got something about him, and he's still relatively young. So Steve Cooper can probably mould him into a bit of a better player than he actually is. I think he's still a bit raw with his and decision making, but you can see there's something in there to work with.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't, well, I mean, it was one of those games where it didn't matter what happened, we wouldn't have scored probably, but he didn't look completely outstanding, but he didn't he didn't look terrible either. It wasn't like the last time we saw him play when as you say, it went out for a throw-in. However, it didn't really matter how well we played. They got an attack down their left wing, and it was Dwayne Holmes, I think, ex-Derby, who somehow managed to put it in. And I have to admit, from where I was sat, I couldn't even see how it had gone in. It was like, it looked like it had hit the side netting and gone behind to me. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, when he was on that side, I think he hit it in the only place where he could, because he did a 1-2 and he got beyond Jed Spence, and he's just hit it in from 8 yards, and he's hit it with a bit of pace. And again, I'm not going to blame him because I think he's been pretty outstanding this season, Bruce Summer, but he's been done on his near post. But the goal happened earlier in the game, so you had every faith that Forest would obviously recover from it. But like we've said, Forest played really well last night. Had peppered the goal and everything, and unfortunately last night we just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, I had it in the first half. We had shots from Zinkernagel. Zinkernagel in particular, I think, was running the play a bit for us. When we could get the ball to him, he was making stuff happen, but he was being reduced to shots from distance. And there was a shot from Garner as well, I think, that hit the crossbar or something like that in the first half.
It was to be fair, the Garner had a shot where it's come to him and he's had a bit of a half volley, which probably a foot wide of the post. Then it was Zinkernagel who had the shot and he absolutely rattled the crossbar, and their goalkeeper didn't have a chance if it was on target. And that got the crowd up. And you think, well, it's only going to be a matter of time before Forest score here. Then ultimately, as the game went on, it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there was one particular bit where I thought we had a shout for a penalty at one point in the first half as well, but it looked to me like it was a shout for a penalty, but the referee chose to play advantage, and then it came to a save by them, and so nothing really came of it. And then in the second half, again, it was just more of the same, really. It was Zinkernagel started things off with a big run and shot. Worrell got booked in the first half, didn't he, for a silly challenge. But I think it was one of those where I think the ref wasn't going to give us anything anyway, no matter what happened. And then we just peppered there. I think that tactically, I would say that Huddersfield basically changed a bit and then decided just to sit deeper.
Yeah, I think as the second half went on, Forest trying to find an opening. They were knocking the ball left to right. It was quite easy on the eye, left to right, then the other way, trying to get crosses into the box. But I think Huddersfield tactic was defend the 6-yard box well, and we'll come away with something here. And they did. Brendan Johnson had a chance in the second half, which on another day it goes in, but it hit the side net and after the keeper saved. So, but no, it was just one of those nights where Forest basically chucked the kitchen sink at it, and we still didn't score. So, but even though it's equally frustrating, we've had 2 back-to-back defeats. You know, there's something there that it's not like we're playing rubbish and losing 1-0. We're actually playing well. So, and it's a lot different to where it was at the start of the season. So, we all know that it's drastically improved under Cooper. And now going into the January market, he needs to be able to build something and hopefully carry that on until the summer and beyond.
So that's the thing is, today it was all about, we just couldn't get the finishing. The rumour is, which it's Keenan Davis.
Yeah, Keenan Davis from Villa. Yeah. I mean, he's all right. I mean, he's physical, strong. He's got a bit of an ability, but again, he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, according to some Villa fans I know. So, but you never know. Villa might be just a step too far for him. So if he drops down in the Championship and scores a few goals from now until the end of the season, it could be a really good asset for us. And see where I
understand it, it gives us something a bit different as well, a different sort of style of play. So that could be quite useful. Just a quick note then as well on the substitutes. Cafu came on to replace Ojeda. I really like the look of Ojeda. His haircut reminds me of Radimejewski, who's one of my all-time favourite players, and he had a lot of energy. He was all over the place. But Cafu came on, didn't really notice him when he came on. João Carvalho came on for Silva. As anyone who listens to the podcast knows, I absolutely love João Carvalho. And while he's looked pretty headless earlier this season when he's come on, I thought he played some good stuff today, including one little pass where he curled the ball past their defender to release Jed Spence. Although obviously it came to nothing because that's what was going to happen yesterday.
Yeah, I've been a bit, it probably sounds harsh, I've been a bit critical of João Carvalho because I know he didn't ask to be paid to be paid a transfer fee of 13 million. But if he was 2 million or whatever, I'd just expect that bit more from him. And 2 or 3 managers have had him now, and for whatever reason, haven't fancied him. And yeah, I do agree with the majority who say he needs a run of games, which is when he did have a run of games under Kroenke, he looked quite good. And now, since Kroenke has gone and 2 or 3 managers have come and gone at Forest, I thought he's lost his way a bit. But last night I thought he wasn't outstanding, but like you've mentioned, some of his passing, only João Carvalho can do that in the Forest squad. So if he does be able to get a run of games and can get back to a level of consistency where we know there's a talented player in there, but he just got to obviously put it all together and do it over a consistent basis, because he knows the Championship now. Yeah. He's been here 2 or 3 years or whatever now.
So, well, that's the thing is the word's consistency, because when you're 21, it's fair enough not being consistent, because that's what you expect of a young player, but he's not 21 anymore. He's getting on a bit now, so he needs to start making it happen all the time. And then Lyle Taylor came on as well, and was Lyle Taylor. He got pushed and pulled all over the shop, complained to the referee, whinged a lot, and didn't really make much happen.
Yeah, he's a very frustrating character, isn't it? Yeah, Lyle Taylor. I mean, he talks a good game when you see him in the media, but when he comes on, he doesn't really help himself. There was one where the ball got played into him, and I presume he's like, what is he, 6'1" or something? All he has to do is stand his ground, and he gets a little tap, and then he falls to the floor, and you think, oh, the referee's not going to buy it, and now you've lost possession, and you got more pressure coming onto our back four or whatever, and the ball keeps coming back. So, and it's not like he's come from like a Premier League club, and it's like, oh, he's not used to the physicality of it. He's played in the lower leagues. He's played in Scotland, so you should know by now what physicality is like. And I just think he's a bit of a. He's so predictive of what is going to happen. He never gets a free kick. He rather play the player and not the ball, and then he's complaining to the referee, and nobody's buying it now. And even Forest fans are like thinking, well, they're not even getting on the referee's back because they know what's going to happen. All he has to do is just stand his ground and be a bit strong, and it's getting a bit embarrassing now when somebody at 6'1" just chucks himself to the ground, and it's like schoolboy football, isn't it? Asking for the referee for a free kick every 2 minutes. So
it's a shame as well, because I quite like him, and if we could get across to the far post, then he's very, very good at dealing with that. But he just is, the rest of his game's not quite there for us.
Yeah, and if the rumours are true and that Keenan Davis is going to come, it's just going to knock him down the pecking order even further, because Villa will want guarantees that he's going to get game time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how we play, you've got Graben and Keenan Davis. Lyle Taylor's not going to have a chance, is he? So I think come the summer, I don't think he'll be here much longer.
No. Speaking of which, so we've got Barnsley coming up on Monday, but the worrying bit was in the post-match interview on the radio. Steve Cooper said COVID's rife through our squad. The academy's been closed because of COVID, and Yates and Figueiredo weren't even on the bench yesterday because of COVID. So it looks a bit doubtful that, the rules are a bit weird in that you have to be able to field a team of 14 players no matter who they are. So there's a chance it will still go ahead, but it could also be doubtful. So I guess we've been lucky to escape it so far, with everyone else having matches cancelled.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, since the start, after we come back from the main lockdown we had, Forest haven't had a postponement. But I think every club up and down the country are doing it on a day-by-day basis, and you just don't know from one day to the next. And I know the EFL have now stopped games being postponed on the day. So you've got a bit of clarity there that if you have got COVID numbers in your squad, then you can actually postpone the game. But it's not good for the league, is it? If you got 14 players, and because I think Steve Hodgson mentioned it on Radio Nottingham last night, the clubs that have come down from the Premier League have got the luxury of having bigger squads.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they get an advantage anyway through parachute payments, and that's another story. But if they've got bigger squads and they're playing against the likes of us who have been, say, we've got 5 or 6 out, then it's not going to be a really fair game. But unfortunately, it's the same for everybody at the moment. So it's one of those where it's frustrating for the fan, frustrating for the manager and the players and the club. that is just really frustrating period that you don't know from one game to the next what team you're going to be able to field and how much preparation you can do.
Yep, absolutely. That's the night where Forest failed to start the new year in the playoff places. So we're going to have a quick break and then maybe come back for Barnsley on Monday. But in the meantime, from Tom and from myself,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.